Welcome to lesson 5. As you can tell, I am not Ronan. He did not record videos for these, so I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. So first thing is go ahead and open up lesson 5, the blue belt. I'm going to show you a preview of what you're going to create, and then we're going to go ahead and start doing it. So using grids is a great way to make things geometrically even. So that's what the point of this entire lesson is. These grids can be non-printable, meaning we can hide them at the end if we really wanted to, but it's a way to help you create things that are very geometrical. So these are the things that you're going to be creating with this, primarily with the pen tool and some of the shape tools that you've used already, as well as either the shape builder or the Pathfinder tool. So let's go ahead and start here and let's zoom in. So I'm just pressing Control plus to zoom in, using the space bar to move some stuff around. So let's go ahead and see about making this symmetrical. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use like a green. If you want to use the same one I'm using, you can just type in 00933 and the letter B as in boy. All right, I'm going to switch to my pen tool, and I'm going to start up here. Now, the key thing with the grids is you're going to want to make sure that you start with where the intersection is going to be. So I'm going to start up here at the apex of this triangle chevron shape. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to move my mouse down. Now, it's been turned on to snap to grids, so you'll notice it will line up pretty symmetrical right up here. Then I click once. I come over to here. I'm not holding the shift key down. The shift key does 45-degree angles. See how it's splitting those grid boxes perfectly symmetrically, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to come down, click to my next one, and click. And that's all I have for that one. I hit escape. That will stop the path. Now I can come up here. Now for this one, we're going to do the align and distribute these circles around here. So the best way to do that is to switch first to your ellipse tool. And what I'm going to do is I am going to start to drag, but then I mix my shift key in. So I haven't let go of my mouse. I'm still pressing the mouse down. And I'm going to hold down the Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac. And what that will do is that will scale from the center. So what I'm going to do is draw to that one. Now, if your lines are not thick enough, I may not have mentioned this earlier, I already switched them to size 10. So if by chance your thing down here is much smaller, just come back with your black arrow, click on it, and change the stroke to 10. Now for this piece, I'm going to grab another elliptical. I'm going to come right here in the center. I click my mouse, I start to drag. As I'm dragging, I press the Alt key and then the Shift. And then I let go of the mouse first, and then I let go of the keyboard shortcuts. That's kind of the trick, is you can press the keyboard shortcuts in any order after you've clicked on the mouse button. And I'm going to hit escape. Don't know why it's not letting go, so I'm just going to grab my black arrow and click in an empty area, switch back to my ellipse. So I start to drag, Alt and Shift. There it goes. Now I have the 3 pieces. They're nicely evenly distributed. All right, let me show you some tricks with rectangle marquee. Or rectangle tool. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. I'm going to hold down the Shift key. If I don't hold down the Shift key, it's going to not make it perfectly proportional or make it a square. It's going to be more of a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down, holding the Shift key. And rather than drawing it a second time, I'm going to switch to my Move tool. And inside of here, there's several different bounding boxes as well as these corner points. The corner points change just that, the corner. So you want to avoid those for now. We'll be using those later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my Alt or my Option key if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to drag and press the Shift key and Alt. Sorry, that was kind of confusing. Kind of overtalked there. Let me try it again. I'm going to hold down the Alt key. I start to drag, and if I hold the Shift key, it'll keep it in a perfect straight line. Now what I can do is I can hold my mouse button down and drag a marquee over those 3 boxes. I can hold down my Alt key or Option, so it changes to a double-headed arrow. If I hold down my Shift key as well, so what I want to do is I want to grab that again. I'm going to actually grab it from one of these strokes over on this side. And I hold down the Shift and I drag. So what that's doing is I've just duplicated it. Rather than drawing them one at a time, that just saves you some time. So you can go in, hold down your Alt key, and it lets you duplicate. If I can actually get a hold of it. There we go. And it lets you duplicate one of those frames. So let's go ahead and drag over here. All right, for this one, I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to click, and I'm just going to hold down the shift key when I want to go in a straight line. It's going to want to try to follow the path anyways. Then I'm going to hit escape to stop the drawing of that path so I can start a new one. I'm going to click, hold down my shift key, click again. Keeping my shift key held down just keeps it in a straight line. And when I get to my ending point, instead of continuing to draw, I hit escape and it stops the path. Hold down shift, click, click, and click, escape, click, hold down the shift, click again, hit escape, hit escape, click, hold down the shift, and drag. I'll hit escape. And now we're ready for level 5. For level 5, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the outside first, and I want to show you what will happen in case you accidentally make a mistake. So I'm just clicking to get this perimeter made. And then I'm going to see what usually ends up happening. So I hit escape so it's not selected anymore. So now I'm going to click over here, and oh, that happened. Okay, I'm going to undo. I'm going to click over here. Oh, that happened. Let me show you what's going on. So anytime you move your mouse, even with the pen tool selected, and you move it over an existing anchor point, a little hard to see from there, but when you move it over an existing anchor point, it will switch to the minus sign. So when you click on it, it will make it disappear. So what I want to do is this. I'm going to zoom out just a little. Whoa, I'm not going to zoom out that far. Let me zoom out right here. I'm going to switch to my pen tool. And I'm going to click in the center, and I'm going to drag. I'm going to hit escape. Now, the problem is I might end up accidentally clicking over this. So keep an eye on the little symbol to the right of this pin. Right now, it's an asterisk, meaning it's going to create a brand new line. So you want to make sure that it's an asterisk. If not, you're going to have to click a little bit further away until it becomes an asterisk again. So just be careful with that. So I'm going to click and drag. There we go. You might have to try that one a couple times. It's really kind of tricky. Same thing with this one. To be able to make these extreme curves, what I want to do now is I want to show you how to use those corner points to be able to get this to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to start down here. And I'm actually going to go outside of the heart and click on that side. I'm going to go outside of the heart and click up there right above where it starts to change direction. Then I'm going to click down here. I'm going to click up here, across, and back to the beginning. So now I'm going to switch back to my direct select tool, the white arrow, and I'm going to zoom in. Notice, actually, yeah, right there. Let me select. There we go. Now it's selected. So now when I click any of these anchor points, there's this little circle that shows up. That's your curve or your corner point. What I can do with this is once I've selected one of these peak areas right up here, I can hold my mouse button down on that little circle and bring it down. I can do the same thing over here. Click on it again until that's the only one active. I can grab that curve and I can drag that one in. I can click on this one. See, if it doesn't let me click on it, then I try to get it and it's not there, you can drag a marquee over it and it will actually highlight just that one anchor point. I'll bring that back. I'm going to click that one, grab the center, bring that down. That's actually good enough. We'll zoom out a little ways. Go on to level 7. Remember, you can always pause these if I'm going too quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this ellipse tool and we're going to we're going to do the eyeballs first. So what I want to do is I'm going to drag one and I'm going to change this stroke going to turn it off so I can make it a circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my arrow keys. For some reason, I'm not able to get this thing to be exactly the same. Interesting. All right, let me try something else here. Switch back to that color I was using. Yeah, I think my settings on my computer might be slightly off. So I'm okay if you modify yours slightly. See how I'm moving it and it's snapping directly to the grid. I don't think I have my grid lines set up exactly the same as his. So I'm okay if your eyeballs don't match up exactly. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I don't want to take up time in the video right now to go in and make those modifications just in case the settings on Cameo are not exactly the same. I don't want to mess that thing up. Yeah, see, it's not snapping into place. So I'm fine if this smiley face is a little bit funky like that. So what I did is I switched the color of the fill to green and the stroke to none. I'm going to do the same thing down here to make this circle, but I'm going to show you what's happening here. So I'm using the shift key. I'm sorry, yeah, right there to make it perfectly circular, but I don't want it to be perfectly circular. I want to cut this mouthpiece off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this little ellipse filled in with color. And then, yeah, see, it's not snapping exactly into place. There we go. So I'm going to draw one that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares over by 2 squares tall. Then I'm going to take a rectangle tool and I'm going to draw a rectangle so that the rectangle cuts this thing in half. And we can always go back. It's not going to look identical on here. My settings seem to be off, so I'll be okay with this one being a little bit janky. When I have those two items selected with my black arrow, so I've selected those, you can see where the middle part is that I want to cut out. So right here on the Pathfinder, over here on the right, this one would combine shapes together. This one will minus. So I'm going to use that to subtract it so that now I can bring this smiley face portion back. I can grab these little corners and snap them into place so it's much closer. And then I grab the ellipse tool. I'm going to switch my stroke to none. My fill to none, my stroke to green. I'm going to change my stroke back to 10. Start here right where the nose would have gone. Hold down my Alt and my Shift as I drag to be able to create that. Little funky with the yellow on there, but I'm not worried about that setting. We're ready to just move on to this part. So now what I want to do is I want to turn off the stroke because I really just want it to be filled. So let's go ahead and turn off the stroke, and we're going to go back to the fill. And then now I can take my pen tool, and what I'm doing is I'm just going to each corner point and I'm filling this in. And I want to show you what ends up happening when you're using this. Now I don't know where to go. What you can do is on the fly, you can switch this back to a stroke just temporarily. When it's doing that fill, in fact, let me go back and undo. What it does when you have a fill on with no stroke, when it's just the fill, wherever you click next, it's trying to go back to your starting point. So notice the color, I'm going to undo. As soon as I start moving around, the color is going back to my starting point. I go here, it's going back to the starting point. I go here, back to the starting point. But it makes it hard to trace because you can't see. So I'll just flip it. And then once I close it, now I can flip it again. And I can do the same thing here. Looks like it's filled because it went back to the beginning, but you're going to have to be careful of that. That's actually an open path. And even though visually it looks okay right now, if we were to put this, if we were trying to fill it with a different color, it may not work. So just be careful. You want to make sure that wherever your path ends, if it's going to be filled with a color, you end back where you started. All right. And let's go ahead and use some round rectangles for this. And let's see what we can do. So I'm going to start first with building some legs. So I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. And I'm just going to grab and drag some legs up in here. Notice I'm not getting it perfect to the edge. I'm not too worried about that right now, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this rectangle to build his body across here, but I want to curve those in. So we're going to switch back to the white arrow. We're going to grab one of those little corner points and I click on it once so I can start to drag that one inward. I don't know where that stopped, so let me keep dragging until I can't see. There we go. And I'm going to click on that and I drag all the way up, and now I've converted that, what used to be a rectangle, into this kind of half circle. I'm going to grab a regular rectangle, come up here, I'm going to drag for his neck. I'm going to come over to here. That's made of a rectangle, except I'm going to switch to the white arrow, the direct select. Click once on that corner, pull that inward. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. Click the white arrow, grab that one. I'm going to pull, whoops. Notice what just happened is when I didn't click it and let it go, it's really hard to see. So I'm going to zoom in and show you. It happens to me all the time. I'm going to switch to my white arrow. Right now, see how there's like a little blue, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a blue dot and a blue circle around these. Watch what happens when I click on just one. See, the center is now white. It's super tiny. But as I get closer, it doesn't get bigger, so it's so hard for me to tell. But you can kind of see the difference. Let me see if you can tell. I'm going to switch to my direct select. Right now, there's a blue outline and a blue dot. I click once. Now it's a blue outline with a white dot. That's just letting me know that single one is selected. And it was not, because I zoomed out. There we go. So it allows you to change one at a time. So just be careful as you work with that one. That one's definitely one that trips me up a lot. It might be because my eyes are old. Your eyes may have been perfectly fine. There we go. I'm going to click once to select just that single side and drag that side in. And now I've got that shape. Now I'm going to be super fancy and I'm going to highlight all of them. See how they're all separate pieces. I'm going to use the Unite option so I can do that and create one complete shape. All right, let's go up here. We are almost done with this one. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is we are going to build this in a couple different pieces. So I'm going to click. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is notice how this stroke is on the inside of that line. If I drag this across and I flip this and I start to increase my stroke, see how the stroke's going way outside? It's not going to line up. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this back down to 10. And I'm going to click, see how there's a dotted line underneath the word stroke. If you click on stroke, you can say, do you want it to be in the center? So when I did a 10-point stroke, what it did is it went 5 points inside and 5 points outside. So it split the difference. That's this part right here. This is where it aligns to the center of the line. If I do align to the outside, it puts it outside of the line, all 10 points. If I click here, it puts all 10 inside. That's really useful when we start to do logo design for typography. So we'll touch more on that. But the basic idea is you can have it where you've got it split in the middle. So whatever size this is, it's divided by 2. Or you can have it go only inside or only outside. All right, let's go ahead and draw the rest of these. I'm going to do one side. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to have to be careful about not clicking on that edge. So like I just did there, I'm going to start down here. I'm going to come all the way over here And then I'm going to make this go into the background. But first, I need to convert that stroke. So over here where it says stroke, notice sometimes it'll disappear up here, but in the properties panel, it will show up. I'm going to go to stroke, and I'm going to say I want it to the inside. Okay, cool. So that's on the inside now. And I'm going to right-click on this when it's selected, and I'm going to send it to the back. And it doesn't look like anything changed. It's because this is hollow. There's no color. If I go in and I change this color to white, now it'll show up. What was happening before, I'm going to purposely do it, it was on top. So by right-clicking, you can do Arrange, Send to Back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my Alt key when this bottom portion is selected. I'm doing that a little out of order, sorry. I'm trying to go through this quickly because I realize I've been talking for a while, so I want to get this done. So what I want to do is I want to drag that one in. I'm going to go back to my stroke. And that, unfortunately, let me hit escape. I want to draw that shape. So I'm going to come over to here and click. And now see how sharp and messed up that is. So I'm going to go to stroke. I'm going to say go inside. I should have moved that one up just a little bit. Yeah, I totally jacked that one up. So let me try a different method here. See, that one's only going to let me do it on the inside. So let me see if I can figure out a different way to do this that's easy for you to follow. Delete that one out. Okay, give me a second. Let me think about this. So I know I can just take this piece and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and drag this over. And then I am going to transform this while it's still selected. I can transform it by clicking here to flip it. So that part's set. So now we just need to get that one singular line set up. So let me try that one, but that's getting kind of jacked up too because it is not lining up exactly, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. I can fix that if you want to create something like that. I'll show you a much easier way than the way that I just did it, but for now, let's go ahead and fill this in with white. We'll take this one. We will fill that one in with white. And at another point, if you're really interested in that straight line, I'll record a separate one for that. I don't want to waste any more time. I feel like I've gone, this one's a little long, so I want to do that. And then now what you'll do is you will hide these doors and you'll draw the little Space Invader that happens to be behind this one. Whoop, I just told you what it was. So we're going to go to layers. We are going to turn off the visibility. And now you are going to draw this particular goofy little character. I'm going to switch it to green. I'm going to turn off the stroke. And I'm going to grab the rectangle. I'm going to go back up here to the draw here layer. So that's the active one. And draw a big shape there. I'm going to show you a way to eliminate that. There's a couple different ways to do it. The idea with the grids is that it's giving you something for the thing to snap to automatically, which is a nice way to work with stuff. But as you saw on one of the earlier ones I was doing, it was like the circles with the smiley face. I have mine's grid set up slightly different than his, so it kind of threw it off a little bit. With this last one selected, I can hold down the Alt key and drag it down. I can switch this to white. And then I can hold down the Alt key and drag that across. I'm holding down the Alt and then the Shift as well. And that gives you your final piece. So go ahead and make sure that when you're saving this, you save this as a legacy version. Hit save. Come on, option. There we go. This part right here, version. You need to make sure yours is going to be slightly different than mine. Mine is older, but it needs to be Illustrator CC, and it will say Legacy next to it. So this drop down, find the one that says Illustrator CC Legacy. And you are done with this one. You now have a blue belt. You are ready to work on the next one.